I didn't plan the moment the way people imagine these things. There was no dramatic stakeout, no shaking hands, no speech rehearsed in the car, just an envelope sitting in the passenger seat beside me while I watched the soft lights of the restaurant glow through the windshield. The divorce papers looked strangely ordinary. A few stapled pages, black ink, legal language that turned 11 years of marriage into quiet paragraphs. I kept wondering how something so small could carry so much finality. For months, I had been living in a strange kind of silence. Not the loud kind where people scream and slam doors. The quieter kind where conversations slowly disappear. At first, it was small things. My wife started answering questions with shorter sentences. I'm tired. Work was busy. Nothing's wrong. Our dinners became logistical meetings, groceries, bills, schedules. Somewhere along the way, I stopped asking deeper questions because every answer sounded rehearsed. Not lies exactly, just incomplete. Then the late nights began. She said she was meeting coworkers. Sometimes she mentioned names I didn't recognize. Sometimes she didn't mention names at all. The first few times I told myself I was imagining things, that marriages go through phases. That distance doesn't always mean betrayal, but something about the way she stopped looking directly at me when she spoke, that stayed with me. I didn't hire a private investigator. I didn't go through her phone. I simply started paying attention. Patterns reveal themselves when you stop arguing with reality. 3 weeks ago, a notification flashed briefly on her phone while she was in the shower. A restaurant reservation confirmation. 2 people. Not our anniversary. Not a work event. Just tonight's date. So I printed the divorce papers. Not out of anger. More like acceptance. By the time I walked into the restaurant, the place was already alive with quiet conversations and clinking glasses. Soft music filled the room. I chose a table near the back. Not to hide, just to wait. 20 minutes later, she walked in, and she wasn't alone. The first thing I noticed was her laugh. It surprised me. Not because it was loud, but because it sounded relaxed, lighter than it had been in months. The man with her looked confident in the casual way people do when they believe they belong somewhere. They sat down 2 tables away from me. I watched them for maybe 10 seconds, maybe 15, long enough for the last fragile piece of doubt inside me to disappear. Then I stood up. My footsteps felt strangely steady as I crossed the room. She saw me first. The change in her face was immediate but quiet. Not panic, more like the sudden realization that a private world had just collided with reality. Her shoulders stiffened. The man across from her turned slightly, confused by her expression before he even noticed me. For a moment, none of us spoke. I placed the envelope gently on the table. The sound of the paper sliding across the wood felt louder than it should have. "What's this?" she asked softly. Her voice had already changed. I sat down in the empty chair beside their table, not looking at the man yet. "Divorce papers," I said. The words didn't carry anger. They didn't need to. The man across from her leaned back slightly, clearly realizing he had stepped into something far bigger than a casual dinner. My wife opened the envelope slowly. Her eyes moved across the first page. I expected denial, maybe anger. Instead, something else happened. Her composure cracked. Not dramatically, but in a quiet, visible way. Like someone realizing a long game they thought they were controlling had already ended. "You followed me?" she asked. "No," I said calmly. "I paid attention." The man cleared his throat. "I think I should—" "You should," I said gently. He didn't argue. He stood, nodded awkwardly toward my wife, then walked toward the exit with the uncomfortable speed of someone escaping a conversation that was never meant for him. Now it was just us. The table felt too large between us. She stared down at the papers again. "This isn't what you think," she said quietly. I didn't interrupt. Her explanation came out unevenly. Not a clear defense, more like fragments. How we had grown distant, how she felt unseen, how the other man started as a conversation. That felt easier than the ones we were having at home. Some of it might have been true, but truth after betrayal feels different, less powerful. More like explanation than justification. Halfway through her words, a man in a black vest approached the table. "The restaurant manager. Is everything all right here?" he asked carefully, sensing the tension without fully understanding it. For a moment, my wife looked up at him, then at me. That small public interruption changed the air around us. This wasn't private anymore. The truth had a witness. I nodded politely. "Yes," I said. "Everything's clear now." The manager hesitated, then gave a short nod and walked away. My wife still held the papers. She hadn't signed them. Not yet. Her fingers pressed lightly against the edge of the document as if the weight of it had finally settled in. "You're really leaving," she whispered. I looked at her for a long moment. "I think we left each other a while ago." Then I stood up. There was nothing dramatic about walking out. No final words, no raised voices, just the quiet sound of a chair sliding back. Behind me, the restaurant continued exactly as before. Conversations, glasses, music, life moving forward. And for the first time in months, so was I.